Testing, testing. Make sure my microphone's working. Gonna wait for a couple people to get in here. Give it about a minute 30 seconds. But while we get started, gonna be pulling up a chart for all of Sagittarius season and be giving a breakdown on it for everybody in here. And if you are watching this replay, skip to a minute and 30 seconds. I'm gonna start right on the timer. $20 seconds. $10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. What is going on, everybody? It's your man Chris Desir here, back with another live stream, and this is going to be Sagittarius season breakdown for all 12 signs of the zodiac. I'm going to be talking about all the major trends that's going on throughout the entire season of Sagittarius. And the season of Sagittarius is going to start this year on November 22nd. November 21st is going to be 29 degrees of Scorpio, and November 23rd is going to be 1 degree of Sagittarius. It is starting on November 22nd this year, so there should be no confusion with the cusps. Going into it, first things first, I'm going to talk about is that as soon as we go into Sagittarius season, Venus and Mercury are going to be in the sign of Sagittarius. Venus is the sign of money, commerce, travel, food, relationships, and is going to be in the sign of Sagittarius as well as with Mercury. Mercury is communication, texting, writing, speech, news reports, learning. It is your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your neighbors, any form of anything having to do with your lungs or your arms. Those two are both going to also be in Sagittarius, along with the sun sign. And for you who don't know what Sagittarius is, here's a breakdown of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is happiness, it is luck, it is fortune, it is abundance. When they speak of God, as in God the Father, they are speaking as God in a beneficial light or a merciful light. That is Sagittarius energy. In ancient astrology, Sagittarius was also the ruler of the 12th house. For the sake of this presentation, I am only using Sagittarius in its modern day descriptions, and I am using Neptune for all of the uses for its ancient definitions using the modern setting. So Sagittarius is travel. Sagittarius points to your skin tone, your race. It points to foreigners, anybody living more than 70 miles from where you are currently living is considered a foreigner in terms of Sagittarius, or anyone who is not of the same race as you is considered Sagittarius or under a Sagittarius motion. Therefore, when it comes to Sagittarius, it is also education. It is also the school system. It has everything to do with the skin and hair growing on your body. That is all Sagittarius. Now, with Venus in Sagittarius, this is going to be a time for relationships, food, when it comes to a foreign food, eating foods in foreign lands, eating foods that were not made by people of your same culture or familiar background. It is going to come to buying and trading and selling with people who are not of your particular background. Happiness when it comes to your relationships. Happiness from eating food. Massive, gigantic, large is also indicative of Sagittarius. You may be forming, or you may be in a state right now where you will make a massive amount of income during this period of time at your job, in your marriage, going out in nature. You may find a massive field, a massive park. You may be finding yourself in situations around this. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini and Virgo. Mercury is naturally in a 180-degree aspect away from Jupiter, which is ruled by Sagittarius. So Mercury is in its fall position right now. Mercury being in its fall position right now points to finding difficulties with a teacher-student relationship, being in a situation where you are either going to be the one having to teach somebody who is brand new, or you are going to having to be the student having to learn from a teacher, a guru, a person of some sort, writing down what they have to say, being under that dichotomy, that relationship dichotomy of the 180-degree aspect, which also is Venus like. During this period of time, Neptune is still in Pisces. Jupiter will still be in Pisces. Chiron will still be in Aries. The North Node in Uranus will still be in Taurus. Mars will still be in Gemini. And Pluto will still be in Capricorn. The MC and the Moon, also the Ascendant, the IC, and the DC, all move much faster. The Moon only spends about 2 to 3 days in one zodiac sign. It takes the Moon about a month to come full circle. At the start of Sagittarius season, again, November 22nd, the Moon will be in Scorpio. At the end of Sagittarius season, which will be December 22nd, the Moon will be in Sagittarius. It would have gone full circle throughout the chart. So the Moon, the MC, the IC, and the Ascendant all move, the Descendant as well, all move faster than these other planets. Now, about Pluto, everything I can say about Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Jupiter, Chiron, the nodes, and Mars, these are all going to apply to your individual zodiac throughout this month because they're not going to change. So I'm going to talk about those a little bit later as I get into the presentation. When you are speaking of about 13 degrees in to this month, about 13 degrees into the sun being into the sign of Sagittarius. Let's move this by a day. Keep going. About the time you hit 13 degrees or so, 13, 14. About the time you hit 15 degrees, halfway through Sagittarius season, Mercury is going to enter Capricorn. And about 18 degrees in, a little bit over halfway, almost 2/3 of the way through Sagittarius season, Venus is also going to enter Capricorn, but every other planet that I mentioned will be in the same sign still. Will still be in the same sign. And the moon at that point in time, about halfway through the season, is going to return, is going to be in Cancer. But every other sign that I've told you for every other planet that I've said will remain the same. Even though they would have shifted degrees, they will still be in the same sign. So during this halfway point, when Mercury is now in Capricorn and Venus are now in Capricorn, Mercury being in Capricorn, Venus is going to be in a trine aspect when it's going to be in Capricorn. Venus naturally likes being in Capricorn. Venus is money and commerce. Capricorn is business and land. Landowners, business owners, corporations like money, do very well with money. This is going to point to that. This is going to point to that being well established. And Mercury, if you were talking in terms of Gemini, Mercury ruling Gemini, Capricorn is Mercury's 8th house. That is the 8th house. Pluto and Scorpio, using modern astrology, all point to life. Your everyday life situations, how life affects you. This is going to be how you are going to relate to life in terms of how you work, how you speak, communicating about life, communicating with people about how life functions, how life is supposed to be, how life is going for you at this current moment in time, the difficulties of life. And if you are a Virgo in this particular instance, this is also a trine for you. The natural 5th house of Virgo is Capricorn. Virgo is the sign of work. And once you work and you love, Virgos love working, because when you put in the work, you are now able to become a boss, an authority figure. It's only after practice in a excellent amount of work and effort that you can become a boss, an authority figure, someone that can be respected or put in a high status. So this is going to be a double dichotomy depending on what sign you are. The moon will be in Cancer during this time. The moon will be just after a new moon. By the time about halfway through the season, the moon will have crossed the full moon point, and it would have been closer to a waning gibbous phase during that point in the season. Now, to speak about how it is going to affect you at the end of the season, I already said every sign will remain the same except for one. Jupiter, near the very end, like the last 2 days of the season of Sagittarius, Jupiter will finish its retrograde into Pisces, and Jupiter will return back into Aries. Jupiter returning back into Aries signifies Jupiter is now in a trine position again. People are going to go back to actively traveling, finding happiness in taking action, finding self-happiness, self-education, traveling, self-travel, finding out the philosophy in themselves. Just pure other fortune or self-luck, self-fortune, self-made luck, self-made fortune during this period of time, during the ending phase. And it will be in a trine to the sun for a short period of time, for those next 2 days, those last 2 days up until December 22nd, the start of Capricorn season. During those 2 days, throughout this month will put you through situations that will lead you at the end to realize, you know what, I can find happiness in myself. I can find mercy through self-love, self-appreciation. The sun, self-love. Jupiter being in Aries, self-happiness through my personality, being happy with who you are, and that will prepare you for Capricorn season. Now, to go through all 12 signs, and around that, before I start, the moon will, at the very end, be in Sagittarius season. As soon as we enter into Capricorn, we'll be in the Sagittarius season, almost into Capricorn season. Now, going back to the very beginning, going back to the first day, I'm going to start at Aries. I'm going to start at Aries and go around. That is not there. Okay, starting with Aries, going around the chart. This is for the beginning. I'm going to do Aries in the beginning, Aries during the middle of the season, and Aries towards the end of the season. And I'm going to follow that chart of 3 for all 12 zodiac signs. So 12 times 3, I'm giving about 36 readings in total for people across the month. I am currently doing readings at this point in time. So if you would like to get a reading from me, you can. And to preface the reading, there is something called common affinity in the zodiac chart. Signs of common affinity, aka what you can say about one sign, you can tend to find relations in the other, similarities in the other. That would be Taurus and Pisces, Gemini and Aquarius, Cancer and Capricorn, Leo and Sagittarius, Virgo and Pisces, and finally Aries is in of itself, and Libra are in of itself, aka there are no two signs. There's no sign similar to Aries, and there's no sign similar to Libra. But if you hear your sign first, just remember, you can go back to this point in the video. I should be able to leave timestamps to let y'all know what is going on. Aries, during the beginning of the season. Aries, you're going to have the North Node in Taurus, and you're going to have Uranus in Taurus as well. Aries, when it comes to, and they're going to be there, right? When it comes to your first house, Aries, you're already going to be an active go-getter type of person. When it comes to your values, during this period of time, you're going to be put in situations where your destiny is leading you this time to focus on your values, focus on your morality system. And with Uranus there, it could be a shock, a change. You may be doing something weird or unusual to your standard values. You feel like you might be rebelling against your standard value system. Gemini, with your third house being Gemini, with Mars currently being in Gemini, the ruler of your first house, the ruler of your sun sign or your ascendant. And this reading is for Aries rising and Aries ascendant. And even if you have a moon in Aries, this can apply as well. Sorry about that. And Aries, with Mars being in your third house, the third house points to your thought process. You may be thinking a lot during this period in time. You may be writing more often. You may be talking, communicating more. You may be more in active situations. You may be in situations where, let me see what aspects are making to that placement. Since there's going to be a lot of energy in Sagittarius during this period of time, during the beginning of the month, you may not feel this Aries, but during this period of time, you may get into more arguments, or you may be doing more activities, or you may even break out into fights, or even have situations running into with the police regarding your neighbors, regarding your brothers, your sisters, regarding your work partners, because that is Mercury as well. You may get inflammation in your lungs with Mars being there as well in your third house, or maybe even a sibling could get inflammation in the lungs. So you might want to tell your siblings to watch out for situations like that. Aries, with your fourth house being Cancer. Cancer in your fourth house, you do not have too many negative aspects. You have Pluto in opposition to your fourth house natally, which means you may run into situations regarding a parent, a boss that you may hate for this period of time. They may cause you to transform, or they may cause you to be in a situation where you may feel powerless against them and what they're saying. With your Leo in your fifth, you have Saturn currently in Aquarius, with Saturn in Aquarius oppositioning your fifth, even without a planet there. This can point to situations where you can find difficulty rebelling, being yourself, being unique, or you find this to be a period of time where you might be serious about being unique in the face of a partner. And when it comes to Virgo being your sixth house, you have Neptune and Jupiter opposing the natal place of your sixth house. This is using equal ascendant, like with ancient astrology house systems. So with Neptune and Jupiter there, with Neptune and Jupiter opposing Virgo in your sixth house, that points to massive dreams. You may be having problems at work or doing your craft because you are so hell bent, excuse my language, on going towards your dreams. With your massive dreams, and what you believe that you may see in a dream while you're sleeping may prevent you or cause you maybe some difficulties at work, or it could even make you go harder towards your work. With your seventh house, you will have during the beginning of the month, at the start of Sagittarius season, you will have the moon in your seventh house. That points to you being in a situation with a partner. If you have a partner, where a potential partner that you are with currently could potentially be a protector, a nurturer to you. This also points to the mother of your child, the mother of your children, or the mother, a woman that you can potentially marry and would mother your children at a point in time. If you're thinking about that, this also points to you being very protective or very nurturing to your home, trying to beautify your home during this period of time, Aries. With your eighth house of Scorpio, in your eighth house, you currently do not have any aspects transiting your eighth house, except you have an opposition with North Node and Uranus there. So your destiny and you trying to deal with a calamity or crisis going on right now on with your money may be stressing you out during life, or you may feel like you are now killing yourself in an attempt to get past this financial calamity or cause. You don't need to feel that way, because you have the Sun, Venus, and Mercury in your ninth house. Sagittarius naturally trines Aries, and since you have three planets in your ninth house, your house of travel, your house of good times, your house of happiness, this is something from you can do. Thank you for showing up to the live stream, for seeing me from the Peace Dealer. Thank you for that. When it comes to the the ninth house, and you're trying to there, it points to that you have um you, since the sun is there during this time, Aries, you're going to find happiness in education. You're going to find happiness in your work, in your communications. Mercury is communication, and Mercury is also your work. So you're going to find happiness during this period of time, during the beginning of the season as well, when it comes to your work, when it comes to communication, happiness in regards to speaking or traveling with a family member, like a brother, a sister, a cousin, even with your neighbors. And with Venus there, Venus is events, parties, celebration. So you may be traveling for an event, a party, a celebration, a wedding. During this period of time, you can make a massive amount of money on your telephone. So if you do online stock trading, if you do have an online lottery app, you may win some money, or could win some money during this period of time, with Mercury and Venus conjunct the sun in your ninth house of fortune, luck, and benefit. When it comes to your 10th house, you have Pluto there, and you have you have Pluto there. So that is going to be a square position. This again points to you when it comes to a landlord, a boss, you having responsibilities right now. You can be obsessing over them. It can feel like your responsibilities are eating away at you right now, as in you may owe people money because of taxes. Somebody is on your case. A boss may be on your case. A landlord may be on your case. But this is also a time for regeneration and transformation, because again, people like to think negatively about Pluto. Pluto points to life in general, the good, the bad, the neutral time. Pluto is life in general. This is going to be a time for you where life is going to be testing you to really get you to understand and realize why you are here. In your 11th house, your house of friends, networking, acquaintances of that source, and how you are uniquely express yourself. You have Saturn there. In traditional astrology, Saturn is also the ruler of the 11th house, but in modern astrology, Uranus is the ruler. So with that being in mind, I can say for a shadow of a doubt, you can for a fact uh be able to focus during this period of time on your networking, on your friends, on your communications during this beginning of the period. And with Neptune and Jupiter in your 12th, the 12th house points to your dreams, your beliefs, but it also can point to open enemies in your undoing. It can point to your undoing. So with Neptune and Jupiter in the 12th house, since Jupiter is naturally the ruler of your 9th house and it's in your 12th house, your Jupiter is in a square aspect, so you must keep that in mind as well. It is not going to be there for too much longer, but you must be careful with your Jupiter. When Jupiter is in a square, it can point to the more negative aspects of what Jupiter means. Jupiter is fortune, luck, and abundance, but when Jupiter is in a malefic aspect, it can point to excess, having too much, doing too much. You can have an opportunity to go to a party with a friend, a neighbor, and things like that, but be sure not to go over the limit. Be sure not to do too much, or be mindful of spending too much money on a brother, a sister, a cousin, a neighbor during this period of time. And finally, as I see, you have Chiron in Aries, because I also use Chiron. Chiron in Aries points to you having to make up for something. You have wounds, old wounds surfacing in regards to yourself, how you feel about yourself, something that happened to you that you had no control of, or something you have to make up for. And again, it could be the money situation or things like that. It could be surrounding or having to do with a boss. Don't worry, you can get through this period of time. You must understand how life moves. Now, through the middle of the month for Aries, keep everything I said in mind. The only thing that's going to be changing around the middle of the month, let me go back to Aries. Let me go back to Aries. One day. The only thing that's going to be changing about the middle of the month for Aries is about this. I'm going to go to when both of them. When both when both Venus and Mercury enter Venus and Mercury enter your 10th house along with Pluto during this period in time. Now, during around the 10th to be exact, the moon is also going to be in Cancer during this period in time. So for you Aries, now to put you back on the ascendant, 2 hours. Okay, so with that on the ascendant, now you may find more difficulties during this period in time about something you cannot control, something you cannot, something you won't be able to do in regards to for the next half of the month, in regards to your finances, in regards to your work situation. During this period of time, there's going to be something that you have to make up for, or something you just were not aware of that you're going to have to deal with during this period of time. In terms of your responsibilities you're going to have to take up. If anybody is in the middle of a Saturn return or a Saturn square, don't obsess too much about this. Do not think that life is over because of this, because of what you told or how you are thinking. That's not the case. And do not be super overstressed with situations regarding income right now, if that is going to be what is plaguing you. And now, with the moon currently being in Cancer, Moon being in Cancer in your fourth, the moon is naturally at home at this point. It is going to be in a square for you, but it's going to be naturally at home for where you are at this period in time. So this may be stress now in this situation regarding the family, regarding activities towards the family during this period in time, in this period that you can see during this moment or movement. But it should not be a big issue, because it also points to the moon now being in a trine position to Neptune and Jupiter. So that means you're going to have big dreams in relations to your family, the home life, your home situation. Remember, the last time I told you at the beginning of the month, the moon was in Scorpio. The moon was in Scorpio. So because the moon was in Scorpio, you could have been obsessing over the home, obsessing over your family because of probably this money crisis or situation. You can do something about it now. I heard you from the pizza the other day, so I subscribe. He always recommends a great up and upcoming. Hashtag to be one of the next. Great to see you live. Thank you for that again. Now for the final part of the month, let's go back a day. One day. Boom. I'm already 30 minutes in. I'm only on one sign. I hope you can see how long this takes to actually get done. 29 degrees, around 29 degrees. Jupiter is now in Aries. Now you have Jupiter entering your first house, Aries. So if you had survived correctly the second half of the month of Sagittarius, that which may have not gone 100% your way, you immediately, right before Sagittarius season ends, going into Capricorn, which is going to be a square month for you, you now have Jupiter for the rest of the course of these next 4 or 5, if not 6 months, going to be in your home sign. You're going to have Jupiter in your home sign, which means you're just going to be moving more happy, more fundamentally sound, more, you're going to be feel like you have a chip on your shoulder. You're going to be more philosophical and more willing to travel during this period of time. For the rest of the time, Jupiter is going to be in Aries. As Jupiter changes there, Gemini is still in the same place. It's still in the same place. Venus and Mercury are still going to be in Capricorn, and the moon is now in Sagittarius. The moon is going to be trying you, so your emotional state at the end of this month, going into Sagittarius, going from Sagittarius into Capricorn season, would have improved. Your emotional state is going to be so much and far much better. All right, that was Aries. I'm gonna put a timestamp for the end of Aries. Aries ends 33/11. Aries ends 33/11. Okay, now we're gonna get into Taurus. Let's go back. My screen is over here, my camera's over here. That's why you see it that way. 2 hours. Okay, that's why. Okay. Taurus, with the North Node and Uranus being in your first Taurus during this period of time, you are going towards where your destiny wants you to go to. Your destiny is having you reflect on yourself, or better termed, doing actions that point to who you are as a person, having you go down situations that are going to be in your face, where you are facing situations that seem to be more crises or calamities. You feel during this period of time things are just blowing up in your face, Taurus. You feel like things could be blowing up for the better or the worse in your face right now, Taurus, during this period of time. And with that being said, your second house is Gemini. Your second house is Gemini. With Gemini being in your second house, you have Mars there. That means you are active towards your values right now. You are active towards your values when it comes to the way you think, communication, thoughts, writing. You're actively writing during this period of time. You're actively going through the motions of communication, speech. You value, you trade, you're doing commodities with. You can also be impulsive when it comes to your family members, your brothers and sisters. You can tend to be impulsive and screaming at this point in time. With your third house of Cancer is having an opposition to Pluto right now. So in terms of your brothers, your sisters, um, your neighbors, your cousins, it can be a sense of jealousy. It could be a sense of jealousy or hate or resentment from them to you or you to them. Your fourth house has an opposition from Saturn, so this can be pushback in regards to your neighbors. Not your neighbors, will push back in regards to friends. Friends are turning out to be more serious. Your friends are being kind of rebellious during this period of time. They're being seriously rebellious, seriously weird, out of the ordinary, or your friends may find you to be seriously worried during this period of time because of you feeling that things are blowing up in your face, and your friends could be doing things, can be in high career positions during this period of time. When it comes to your fifth house of Virgo, you have an opposition to Pisces, and you have Neptune and Jupiter there. So when it comes to your friends, also another friend aspect, when it comes to your friends, they are currently, or they have been for the longest period of time that you can remember, your current day friends have been believers, big dreamers. Or right now your friends are coming out with big dreams, or you're telling your biggest dreams to your friends, and that can have an effect on your natural talent and ability, or you or your friends are going to the beach. It could be going to a massive body of water, a massive beach, a massive ocean, things of that nature with your friends. Weird, unusual. It can mean a lot of aromas, a lot of perfumes, colognes that you are trying that are weird and unusual that you don't really try. You have in your 12th house Chiron, which means unknown wounds. It means while you're dreaming of things you cannot stop from happening. You have no control over actions that happened in your dreams, fighting in your dreams, fighting in private that you can't control, or you have nothing you can do about in terms of those regards. Going back over there to the 12th house, now going back to your 6th house of Libra, yes, it is in opposition to Chiron and Aries, which I've just stated. Your 7th house, Taurus, is going to have the moon, and the moon in your 7th house points to you having a the moon is the natural ruler of your 3rd house. Since the moon is the natural ruler of your 3rd house, with the moon in the 3rd house, it points to um it being in your 7th. That means you are having a relationship right now, forming relationships in regards to um or being more of a protector in a partnership with uh friends, cousins, close friends, neighbors that you've known for your entire life, that you may consider family in those regards, things of that nature. When it comes to your 8th house being Sagittarius, this energy of Sagittarius, you have a lot of energy going through your 8th house right now. You have Venus, which is your natural ruler, in the 8th house, and you have Mercury, the ruler of your 2nd house, in the 8th house. So this is a lot of 2nd house, Venus in 8th house. This is a lot of 2nd house, 8th house, and energy. This is a lot of opposition energy going on in your 8th house right now. And the sun is in the ruling sign of your 8th house. This is a lot of this is another period of time for everyone. The general theme that is going on during this period of time is people are understanding how to live life, how to adapt to the changes that life has been throwing at us left and right for these past few years after the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction in 2020, that December 21st, 2020. We are learning how to live in this new pulse world and how to now configure our lives past that. So for you, Taurus, as well, this is a big time for Tauruses for these, because these past couple of years have been like calamity, crisis after crisis. It's also been big insurgencies with friends, losing of friends, gaining of friends, networking, socializing throughout these entire periods of time, with Uranus still being in Taurus. And with this 8th house transit, again, when it comes to your brothers, your sisters, yourself personally, you're feeling like it could be a calamity and that your life is blowing up in front of you. But this is also a way for you to say, this is the time in my life for me to truly be unique and be free. This is how you should see this, Taurus. With uh Pluto in your 9th house, you have a trine to Pluto, and Pluto being in your 9th house, Taurus, during this period of time points to you finding happiness or traveling. When while you're traveling, you're going to hear, you could even hear on the news, you could hear about a foreigner who gave birth. You may travel to another country and see a family member or give birth in another country. It may point to you starting a new life in another country. It also points to you attending a funeral, a passing of some time in a foreign land. Finding luck in regards to your taxes. Maybe your taxes were nowhere near as bad as you thought they were going to be, because currently Pluto is in your 9th house. And when it comes to your 10th house, Taurus, you have Uranus as your 10th house and you have Saturn there. So you naturally have a trine to Saturn, and it being in your 10th house means your boss right now is giving you some slack. Your work situation is being kind to you. Maybe your boss is now being seen as a friend to you during this period of time, more of a friend type situation in regards to your boss or your coworker or things of that nature, or things of that extent. When it comes to that and what you're doing there. And when it comes to your 11th house having Pisces, Jupiter and your friends again are being big dreamers. When it comes to Chiron in your 12th, again, that is things you cannot control in terms of in your private life, your private areas. While you dream, you may dream of fighting and warring and things like that, and you can't control what happens in the dream. The dream just happens. Now, let's go to the middle of the month. We're gonna go to the middle of the month. Let's go one day. Okay, in the middle of the month. Now, Neptune. I keep saying Neptune. I just don't know why I keep saying Neptune when I look at the sign of Venus. Now, with with Venus and Mercury being in Venus and Mercury being in Capricorn, Venus and Mercury now being in Capricorn, that is also going to be in your 9th house. So now you're going to start to see some benefits coming your way in terms of travel, like traveling for money, an extensive amount of money coming your way. You're going to see from your boss. Maybe your boss is going to give you a pay raise. Maybe you're going to haggle or bargain with an official. You're going to be able to communicate with your boss that you are obsessing over, that you may not like too much, that you have resentments towards. You may be able to communicate with a boss, do business with a neighbor that you do not like too much, and have luck in finding some sort of agreement or merciful situation or happiness in that regard. It also points to you traveling doing some serious traveling, doing some traveling on some business adventures that will do well for you during that period of time. Everything else in every other sign will tend to be the same. The moon will be in Cancer during the middle of the month for you. So now with the moon being in your third house, the moon being in your third house would mean familiar. You're gonna see family type situations coming up in your speech, your communication. You're gonna find yourself during the middle of the month, around the middle of December, around December 10th, you're gonna find yourself speaking more about family, being in situations where you're communicating more with family, seeing brothers, sisters, cousins come over to your home. You're going over to their houses more. It's going to be a time for emotional healing, through communication, emotional comfort, through speaking about your problems, things of that nature as well. Now let's go to the end of the month. 29 degrees. 29 degrees. Let's go back to, wait, no. One. Okay, you're going to have now, gonna have the moon being in Sagittarius, with the moon now transitioning and changing into Sagittarius. Now the moon is transitioning and changing into Sagittarius. See? Changing into Sagittarius. That is going to be in your 8th house. That is going to be obsession towards understanding or coming to the realization of what it means to have a life at home. Is going to be in opposition to Gemini, your Mars in Gemini. So you might be impulsive. You might be impulsive when it comes to your value. You may be acting upon your morality system. You might be impulsively buying things to upgrade or change your life in your home during that period of time, to make your home feel more in line with what you feel like your God spark inside of you is speaking of during this period of time. Now we're gonna go to Gemini. I'm gonna go back. 29. Okay, and Taurus ended at about 4, let's say 4:40, 47, 45. 47, 45. Okay, now we're up to Geminis, Gemini Suns, Gemini Risings. Gemini Suns, Gemini Risings, I got you. Let's do one more hour. Boom. Oh, okay. 10 minutes from there. Okay. Geminis, Gemini Sun, Gemini Rising, and even Gemini Moons. You have Mars in your first house. You are actively thinking. You are very impulsive. I am a Gemini Sun sign myself, so this applies to me as well. You are very impulsive during this period of time. You keep acting. You can't sit down for long periods of time. You feel like you have to be on the go, 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 go. Your mind is racing constantly. You also have to feel like you're always texting, you're always speaking, you're always writing, always communicating. Sometimes you might be always on your phone. You might be causing damage to your phone. Things of that nature as well. You value your home life, and you have Pluto in opposition to your values. You have Pluto in your natural 8th house of Capricorn opposite your values at home. So you might be stressing in your home life, in your home, about your life, your livelihood, how life is supposed to act out for you right now. You may be complaining how difficult or how long it is taking you to live the life that you want to live, Gemini. When it comes to Leo in your 3rd house, you have an opposition to Aquarius right now that has Saturn in it. So when it comes to your 9th house of happiness, you have Saturn in a trine to Mars in ancient astrology, both Mars and Saturn are considered malefic aspects. But this can turn to you being seriously proactive, but this can also point to you being um being angry because of delays. This can turn to you being very violent because of hardships you may be facing during this period of time, because of a lack of friends, a lack of or the restriction from being unique to yourself during this period of time, Gemini. Your fourth house is Virgo, and it has a blatant opposition to Neptune and Jupiter in your 10th. This is you finding luck, happiness in terms of your career, because during this period of time, Gemini, Neptune is still currently in your natural 10th house. So this is your career house. Neptune is your career. When it comes to a boss, you having a boss or a landlord who is a more of a spiritual person, a believer. This also points to a parent that's also a believer or a spiritual believer during this time. And with Jupiter there, a natural square planet to Neptune, this can point to the difficulties with you finding happiness, or difficulties with that parent finding happiness in regards to what you're doing during this period of time. But it also points to massive career success. It points to breakthroughs or luck in terms of your career and your ability to come out on top during this period of time. And that is your 10th house, fourth house relationship. In terms of your fifth house of Libra, it is empty right now, but there's an opposition to Chiron in your 11th. And Chiron in your 11th means there's nothing you can do right now about your friend situation. You're actively going towards friends, or you are actively losing friends, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's some things that you could not equate for that are reasons why you're suffering, or you have wounds right now in terms of your friend situation, in terms of your networking ability, you being violent, or technology you having overheating because of this, and things of that nature. And in your 12th house right now, you still have Uranus in the North Node, which points to friends actually being your undoing, technology and your destiny requiring you to trade online being an enemy to you, or majority of people or things you find online being an enemy to you and actually being your undoing during certain periods. But it points to you honestly trying to blow up or finding crisis in terms of how you believe life should go for you right now. So Gemini, you are going through things right now, but it is not as bad as you think, because it is in opposition to your sixth house. Because during the start of the season, the moon is going to be in Scorpio, exactly 16 degrees in opposition to your Neptune. So that means an emotional crisis can go on at work. An emotional crisis can go on at work in regards to money, in regards to food, and because somebody is having a difficult time with their life right now, difficult time with their power, or realizing they do not have the power to do X, Y, and Z. So watch out for that, Gemini. This is talking to myself as well. During the beginning of the month, your seventh house is opposite your first house. You are going to have in Sagittarius, your house of relationships and marriage and partnerships and cooperation. It also points to the other team, your opposing team, open enemies that you know of. It also points to, since Venus is in its seventh house, it points to foreign enemies. It points to potential relationships with a foreign individual that you may not know of during that period of time. It also points to um, communication over the phone with an individual that is foreign to you. It also points to partnerships or making money over the phone with a foreign entity, a foreign business partner, things of that nature as well. With Capricorn in your eighth house, I already explained that. Saturn in your ninth, and I already explained those as well. Go back watching through the video. With the dichotomy they had to the second house, the eighth house, and third house, the ninth house, and fourth house, the 10th house. So I just finished Gemini. Gemini ended at 55. Gemini 55 ends 55. Gemini ends at 55. Now we're going to be doing Cancer. And for the end of the month for Gemini, just to be sure, just to be safe that people saw that, with Gemini end of month, with Neptune and with Mercury and Venus going into your 8th house during the middle of the month, Gemini, that is going to be, let me delete that comment and change it to be the exact date, with Neptune and with Venus and Mercury going to be in your 8th house during the middle of the month, Gemini. That points to you having difficulties or having situations where money, or speaking about commerce with family members like your brothers, your sisters, your neighbors, in regard to money, in regards to parties, and just celebrating life, celebrating how to live. This is how you should live. This is our moral. This is our value systems in regards to how to live and things of that nature as well. It could also be a time to watch out for people having celebration based on people's passings as well during that period of time. And during the end of the month, the moon is going to be in Cancer. So for you, Gemini, the moon is going to be in your 2nd house. It's going to be your value system at home. It's going to be you buying things, buying things for the home, buying things to value your home, to make your home more beautiful, things of that nature as well during the end of the month. Now Gemini ends at 56, 55. Now, with that being the case, you see how we only did 3 signs and it's taking this long? I may do 4 signs now, do 4 signs again. Okay, I'm going to do Cancer. Then later today around 5-6 p.m. I'm going to do the next 4 signs, and then around 5-6 p.m. and then around closer to like 8 or 9 o'clock, I'm going to do the last 4 signs. But if you do not want to wait that long, me doing the first 4 signs, Aries is in and of itself. Taurus, anything I say about Taurus is going to be the same for the Pisces reading, so you don't have to come back for the last stream. Gemini, anything I say about Gemini, you're going to say about Aquarius, so you don't have to come back for the last stream. And Cancer. So you don't have to hear anything. If you caught this first one, you don't have to hear anything for the last stream I'm going to be having today, because this is already getting to a point where this is an hour, and I do not want it to go too long past that point. Now, Cancer risings. Anything I say about Cancer, you're going to be able to say I have common affinity in finding out these results to be the same for Capricorns. Now, with Cancer risings, Cancer sun signs, and again, my methodology I am using in terms of ancient astrology, I am using the house system. I am not using Placidus house system for this, or Conch, or any of those uneven house system methods. I am using equal house systems, not necessarily whole sign, but that can work as well. I am using equal house systems in terms of how ancient astrology used them. And I am also using modern day planets. I am using Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They do for a fact can give you accurate readings, and I'm using them as well. This is going to be for the first 4 zodiacs for this stream. Later today, I'm going to have a stream for the next 4, and then later today again, I'm going to have a stream for the final 4. And this is going to be for Sagittarius season. So I should put a part 1 in this description. So Cancer, in your first house is going to be empty, but you're in opposition. You have an opposition to your first house of Pluto in your 7th. This points to you in terms of relationships could be having an obsessive relationships right now, hate and jealousy in regards to your relationships right now. It could also be a point in time for a birth that happens in the middle of your relationship. Pregnancies can be formed during this period of time, during the beginning of the season for your relationships and things of that nature throughout this entire month. It also points to moments of when it comes to your partner, you are learning how to live with your partner. You're going to understand life as a whole. Cancer points to the home and your home life in general, in regards to the act of living and all life in general, from birth to death, is pointed by Pluto. So you're learning how to live life in general. When it comes to Leo in your second house, there is no planets currently as going through your second house during this transit, but in opposition to your second house of Leo, you will have um Saturn in Aquarius, and that will be your 8th house, Cancer. That will be your 8th house. You have Saturn currently in your 8th house. Saturn in your 8th house is pointing to difficulties, delays when it comes to paying off taxes. It points to difficulties with life right now at this current moment and period of time. Is you're finding life to be hard during this moment and period of time. It points to you seriously having to take care of your living situation during this period of time. And it also points to you could be pointing to you having experience with the passing of people. It also having experience when it comes to birth, regeneration, experiencing with the world transforming around you, because cancers tend to love and value their children. And since it's in opposition to your second house, that could be you're having a hard time with the lifestyle of your child right now. Your child, which you value, um you may be predicting or saying something in regards to your child. I have multiple women in my family who are cancers, so this is me trying to decipher them as well. And since it's going to be the last reading I am doing for this particular stream, I'm trying to spend some time to really understand how it is manifesting. This is how you use astrology more frequently. This is how you use astrology more frequently. So in terms of your child, you value your child, but you're having difficulty with your child, and you hate the difficulties that you're going on right now in terms of that. Your third house is Virgo. You love to communicate about work. You love to talk about perfection. You love to speak on practice. Your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your neighbors tend to come off to you as perfect, or having to practice or work a lot. And you have an opposition in your natal 9th house, which is your house of happiness and travel. You have Neptune in your 9th house, so you find happiness in your belief system. You have a foreign belief system, where the belief system you carry with you now, where you currently live, might be foreign to the world or situation that you live in when it comes to that. Or it may speak of you traveling to a place with a different belief system than your own. And with Jupiter there, Jupiter naturally being in it, with Jupiter naturally being in its 9th house for you, with Jupiter naturally being in its ninth house for you. Jupiter in its home sign, in the sign of Pisces, even though Jupiter is in its home sign, Sagittarius naturally squares Pisces. So you can find some difficulties during this period of time when it comes to your belief system, but you are going to continue on because it also points to massive believing during this period of time. When it comes to your 10th house, you have Chiron there, pointing to there's nothing that you can do in terms of actions happening right now at your work, or your boss is being very impulsive during this period of time, and there's nothing you can do about it. You have a boss or co-worker just going through situations that they cannot control right now in terms of your 10th house. And the dichotomy with your 10th house going back to your 4th house of Libra, because you will love your home to like balance, peace, harmony, to be fair, and there's nothing you can do right now about a parent or a boss causing anger and impulsiveness or happening right now to affect you while you come home. In terms of going back now to your 5th house, you have the moon in your 5th house. You are naturally ruled by the moon, and you have the moon in the 5th house, means you currently are protective of, and the 5th house is the house of children, so you are naturally protective of your children, and you do not want to see death come upon them, because Scorpio does point to death. You are naturally protecting your children from death, from wounds, from bodily harms. You're trying to nurture your child throughout your life during this period of time. If you have children, this points to intensity, or intensity. It points to obsession with your home life right now during this period of time. When it comes to the 6th house during this period of time, when it comes to the 6th house, and the dichotomy between the 5th house to your 11th house. In your 11th house, when it comes to your friends are very valuable to you, but they have Uranus and Neptune there. No, Uranus in the north node there. So Uranus being naturally in its 11th house for you, Cancer, points to you socializing, having friends who can be very intelligent, and the friends you can network with. And with the north node there, tends to you doing trade with those friends. But you must realize that Uranus and Taurus tend to naturally be in a square. If you are talking in terms of the fixed axis, they are in a square position. They're in a fixed axis in terms of a square position. When it comes to that, it comes to your 6th house now. With your 6th house, you have the Sun, Venus, and Mercury. One second. When it comes to your 6th house, your 6th house, this is where your Sun, Venus, and Mercury is going to be. So this points to you during the beginning of this month, Cancer, working for a foreigner, and points to you spending time working and communicating, or bargaining, or communication on working for hours on your job. And because you have Saturn in the 8th, You may be killing yourself right now, metaphorically, with the amount of hours, time that you're putting in at work right now, because you are actively working for money during this period of time. And you may be working for a boss or with coworkers that are not of the same race as you, or you may be the foreigner in the current country that you live in. Not that you are not currently a citizen, but you may have been born and raised in a different country, now working and living in a country that you are now foreign to, that you had to come to be situated in. That is what Sagittarius points to. I put it to the dichotomy of your second house to your seventh house right now, in dichotomy of the first to your seventh, the second to your eighth, the third to your ninth, the fourth to your 10th, the fifth to your 11th. And so now, finally, in your 12th house, you have Mars. Your impulsivity, with Mars being in the house of Gemini for you, your impulsivity will undo you, will be your undoing. You also believe that taking action will do you well during this period of time. You may have dreams. While you're dreaming, you may be actively thinking while you dream during this period of time as well. But okay, that was Cancer. I'm going to put Cancer ends 11:36. Okay, I have my timestamps. Let me copy them so I can post them in the chat after the stream. I will be back around 5 o'clock to do another about hour and 12-minute stream, about an hour. So that means from 5 to 6 o'clock, and then I'll be back again during 8 to 9 o'clock to do the final sign again, except for Aries. If you wanted to hear what Taurus correlates to Pisces. So if you do not want to come back again tonight for the 8 o'clock stream, you don't have to, because if you want to know what Pisces, Aquarius, and Sagittarius means, just literally watch the Taurus reading again, the Gemini reading again, and the Cancer reading. If you want the Libra reading, that is going to be the final one. No, that's going to be Cancer. So that's going to be Leo, Libra, Scorpio. Yes. So you're going to have to come back for the 5 o'clock reading if you want any of those other signs. But these first ones, you're not going to need now. You're not going to need now because you have them. Those same readings will apply to you. But this has been Chris is here, 100 Agency. Probably catch y'all later today. I'll keep you updated.